guys, welcome back to Mindful Scrolling, where we scroll mindfully instead of doom scrolling. So excited for this week's episode. I really don't have much of a specific topic in mind, so this might be a little bit rambly. I hope that's okay. I also hope to resolve the audio issues that I have had in literally every single episode. I am not sure if it's the mic that I'm using or if it's the settings on the mic. Philip and I are playing with that and trying to figure it out. So thank you for your patience in the meantime as we have had some technical difficulties. Also, my goodness, you could probably hear my dog like skittering around behind me. Sunday, come up here. Lay down. She decided she wanted to play with my cat Snugs for some random reason. She's been doing that lately, and it's really cute, but probably not the best timing. Oh, actually, that might have been Marco, because Snugs is right here. Oh, that's funny. That never happens. My boy cat, he has, like, slowly become more and more part of the family. Like, he is, I'm telling you guys, he is just now starting to accept me after... oh gosh, it's been like a year and a half. Like, immediately bonded with Philip, who claims to not be a cat person, which, don't tell him, but he definitely is a cat person. Marco at least has made him one. Marco still will not let me pet the top of his head, which, you know, if they let you do that, and then also, you know, it's even bigger if they let you pet their bellies, that means they trust you. So, the first animal in the world that has not liked me, but... I digress. So, okay, let's just go ahead and hop into today's episode. All right, guys. So, my morning moments. Not to be too TMI, but it is my time of the month. And so, when I got up this morning, I already had a plan that I was going to go to the gym and I was going to do my 60-minute elliptical workout. But when I tell you that I had the hardest time getting myself motivated, I was like, you know, I could just stay home, maybe do a Pilates, which, you know, I love me some Pilates, but I kind of got off a little bit of my workout routine last week just because it was such an insanely busy week with, like, starting my cleaning job again and just different events and different things that Philip and I did throughout the week. So it was just really, really busy. Lots of cardio, but not... like specifically going to the gym for a workout. So I made myself go, and you may or may not have seen the reel that I posted afterward because I decided, okay, look, it's that time of the month. I don't care right now how I look. I put on one of Philip's nasty old t-shirts. It was clean, but you know, it's been around. And, you know, my hair in like a slick back with coconut oil mask in it. And I looked so horrible and gross, just sweat all over the front and back of my shirt. I thought it would be hilarious to make a little Instagram reel. So you may or may not have seen that. It is posted on the Mindful Scrolling page. And hopefully you'll get a little bit of a laugh out of it. I just felt so gross. And I was like, you know what? This is exactly how you repel men, whether you're married or single. So if anybody wants to go to the gym in peace, that's the way to go. You know, just put on the biggest, nastiest t-shirt you can find, sweat it out for like 60, 65 minutes on the elliptical, the hair slicked back in a bun with the coconut oil mask, and no makeup, of course, no makeup. And you are good to go. You should have a completely private workout with absolutely nobody even glancing your way. Isn't it funny, though? Okay, so, you know, you get to the gym. It's, you know, decently early. I think I got there around 9:30, 10, so not super early, but, you know, mid-morning. Why is it that there's nobody at the gym and there's nobody on the long row of ellipticals until I get there? Like, I'm telling you, there's nobody on these things. And there's always, I mean, God love them. God love him, but there's always this one old man, and he loves to go to the gym at the exact same time I'm there, and he's not creepy or weird or anything. He minds his own business, but when I tell you that there is a row of probably 30 of these things, maybe even more, he gets on the same one, 2 down for me, every single time I'm there. And I've got to just be like, Jesus, forgive me for my disgruntled attitude toward this old guy, because like, you know, he's minding his own business and I am just like plodding away. Like this was total privacy. I was just enjoying my workout and sweating it out, watching YouTube. Anyway, it's just so funny because he was there again today. So, anywho, but so yeah, I guess that's my morning moment, is I pushed myself through a workout, a very strenuous workout, even though I did not feel like it. I came home, I did my everything shower. It was the best feeling in the world to get clean, and then finally made myself some food and settled down for the afternoon. My weekly obsession. Okay. So I did. But let me explain. So I went thrifting with my sister a couple weeks ago in North Carolina, and I wasn't finding anything. It was not about like the best thrift store. It was not a great thrift store. So I'm like looking, nothing's really, you know, catching my eye. And Maria is just a very creative person. And you know, I've seen girls around like wearing the really baggy boyfriend style jeans, and I know that they're probably thrifting them. They're probably more than likely vintage, but you know, I'm like, it's not really, I don't know if I could pull it off. It's not really my style. Well, Maria talked me into it. So I got a pair of dad jeans. And when I say dad jeans, they are quite literally dad jeans. Like somebody's dad definitely wore these in the 90s. Okay. I sent a picture of them to my mom, and she was like, wow. She's like, Michaela, I think dad owned a pair like that. And I'm like, I know. And she's like, no, I think he still owns a pair like that. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, he did. So, you know, if you have a dad that is like getting rid of some jeans, go grab a pair and cut them up and make them into a pair of boyfriend jeans. But anyway, I thrifted mine. They aren't like a great brand. They're not Levi's. Literally, I flipped them over, and it's Faded Glory. So it's like the old Walmart stuff. But hey, you know what? You cannot knock Walmart clothing. Their clothing is actually really good. Like, especially recently, their clothing has really just gotten so much better. And I very unashamedly wear Walmart clothes. Like, love them. But anyway, you could tell that somebody had already tried DIYing these things, because the bottoms were definitely already cut, except that they were uneven. Like, there was even fabric glue and stuff on them. But I liked the way they fit when I put them on. They did need a little bit of adjusting around the waist. But, you know, not a big deal. Just put some little, like, pleats and sewed them in, and then steamed it down, pressed it down so it's nice and flat-ish. And then when I brought them home, I just evened out the legs, distressed them. And then the fun part, I went to Hobby Lobby, and I got a packet of patches. And they're little flowers and butterflies. If you want to see this in, like, more detail, I made a reel that I posted on my main Instagram page, which is Michaela_Woodward22. Let me make sure I have that right. Michaela, which is MICHAELA_Woodward22. And that will take you to my main page, and I made a little reel about them. But guys, I'm obsessed with these things. They look so freaking cute. It looks like I spent like 80, 90, $100 on them at like Anthro or something. And they were like $5. Seriously. And then with the patches, like maybe, I don't even think it was $15 for everything. I took an afternoon to do it, and they are so freaking adorable. I'm honestly thinking about opening up an Etsy shop. I have no idea if people would buy them or not, but they're so fun and so cheap to make. I'm like, you know what? I'm in this entrepreneurial stage right now. Like, why not try? So that is definitely my weekly obsession. Drink of the week, I actually have a couple of them that I'm really excited about. So right now, and I got to do the swirl and the sip so you can hear. Right now, I'm drinking a sea salt matcha. What? So this might be like the only way I drink matcha from now on. I saw a reel on Instagram where somebody just added some sea salt to their matcha, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. They didn't put any sweetener or anything though, which I don't think I would like. I did do like my normal honey, but I just put like a couple, I used like the pink Himalayan salt, just a couple, oh, I don't know, I didn't measure it or anything. I have a little grinder, so like maybe 3 or 4 little grinds of, there's probably a better way of saying that, I don't know, I think you get the picture, of salt over my ice, and then I just made my iced matcha like normal. Oh my gosh, it just elevates it. It's so good. It's actually like addicting. And lately, I don't know if this is because I've been doing paleo or what, and I'm not really eating too many actual sweets aside from honey, but right now I feel like I'm kind of drawn to savory and salty snacks, which is very unusual for me because I'm definitely a chocolate and sweets girl all the way. But oh my gosh, like the little bit of sweet from the honey and then the salty, you've got to try it. And if you try it, please let me know because I think it's my favorite drink of all time now. And then the other one, so on Saturday, Philip and I went to one of the local farmers markets, and I was like, I gotta get coffee. It was so hot out. It's been like in the 80s all week, just yucky weather in my opinion. I don't like it. It's definitely summer, way too early. We need spring back right now. But I was like, I need coffee. So we went over to this coffee truck, and right next to it was parked a dirty soda truck. And if you don't know what that is, it was our first time trying it. I'd seen it online, but it was our first time actually trying it. So I call it pop where I come from. I'm from the Midwest. I'm sorry. It's pop. It'll always be pop. But, most of the rest of the country calls it soda. But it could be any type of pop or soda that you want. Philip ended up ordering, and I just tasted his, a Coke. And so it's any type of soda that you want, and then you add whatever flavor you want, and then creamer. So he got his with Coke, and then it was coconut and pineapple syrup with almond milk creamer. Oh my gosh. Life-changing. Like, so addicting. I get the hype. I was looking, okay, that's totally something I would never drink. I don't really drink pop. That's just not something that I do. Wow, guys, it was so good, so refreshing on that super hot day. I kind of wish I would have gotten my own. It would have been going 110% against my paleo diet, but it was so good. So I thought, me and my mom came up with this. I thought a great alternative, and I have not tried it yet, that is paleo. I recently found out that Olipop is paleo, which I love Olipop anyway, but I've been avoiding it because I didn't think that I could drink it on this diet. And it actually says paleo like right there in the can. I had no idea. I just assumed stevia was not paleo friendly. I want to look into that a little bit more, but it does say paleo on the can. So I'm thinking like an Olipop, which is already flavored, so I probably wouldn't add anything to it, with almond milk creamer. Oh my gosh, new like spring and summer drink that could become a problem. Okay, and then last obsession of the week is definitely erase back up. It is an obsession of the week, but also my read of the week. So I actually completed 2 audiobooks this week. That's pretty normal for me. I usually read 1 to 2 books on audio per week. But earlier in the week, and I listened to this all while I was doing the deep clean on my client's house, so it got me through very quickly. I listened and read Sunrise on the Reaping. Oh, Suzanne Collins did it again. Oh my gosh. So I'm a huge nerd, and I love the Hunger Games. That's why I'm saying it's an obsession and it's my read of the week. Guys, I don't want to give any spoilers at all, but for those of you who may not know, and I think it came out like maybe a month ago, so it is a brand new book. It is another Hunger Games prequel, but this time it is Haymitch, his story and his games. When I tell you that I was cleaning this house and I was sobbing my eyes out at the end, it is perfect. 5 million out of 10. I loved it. And I really, really hope that the movie adaptation can do the book justice. I actually had found out about the movie, I think it's coming out next year, 2026, before the book, for whatever reason. So I'm really, like, fingers crossed, hoping that the movie, can do the book justice, because the book was insane. I loved it. I told Philip this. If I wasn't already a Hunger Games fan and maybe I had started out with Sunrise on the Reaping, I wouldn't love it as much as I do. But I'm a huge fan of both the books and the movies. Like, love, love, love them. So for me, it was just very nostalgic getting to go back into that world, revisiting some of my favorite characters. I love the character of Haymitch. He's such a good, deep, he's got that deep, angsty character that we love. Oh my gosh, so good. We even get glimpses of, like, Everdeens, like, before Katniss was born, and it was awesome, guys. Like, if you have not read it yet and you like the Hunger Games, run, don't walk, and let me know what you think, because I loved it. I gave it a 5-star on Goodreads, but if I could rate it higher, 110% would. The other book that I ended up finishing on audio this week was called The Sirens, and that book, you see, I should have this stuff pulled up already, and I never do, because I'm not organized, we know this. So Amelia Hart is the author, and I actually have read another book by her called Wayward that I believe I gave both of those books 5 stars. Really good. If you like the dual timeline historical fiction. I think I said this in my last podcast episode, but I'm kind of in my historical fiction era again, as well as, like, a little bit of a fantasy era, which is very odd for me. It's just not my usual genre in any single way at all. But The Sirens was really, really good. I think Wayward may have been just a tiny bit better. But The Sirens was really good. There is a dual timeline, modern day, well, I think it was like 2019 or something like that, but a modern day timeline with 2 sisters that is set in Australia, and then a dual timeline set in the 1800s on a prison colony, an Irish prison colony ship headed to Australia, which has always been such a fascinating part of history, just how Australia was settled by Irish prisoners. There's a little bit of magical realism in there. You can kind of probably imagine with the name Sirens, like, where that's going with the whole, like, siren mermaid type of theme. But it wasn't cheesy. It was actually really, really well done and carefully handled. It was a good book, definitely. I gave it a 4, but I think, like, realistically it's more of a 4.5. But unfortunately, Goodreads doesn't let you do anything, any, like, half points. It's got to be either a 4 or a 5. But I would say it was definitely a 4.5. Unfortunately, which honestly, not that unfortunate, because it's, I do not like it at all. I did go ahead and DNF The Serpent and the Wolf that I was talking about in last week's episode. It's so boring. Oh my gosh, I cannot. I got up to almost 200 pages, so I'm about halfway through, and I just cannot continue it. I was reading it in bed last night, and I kept falling asleep, and honestly, I don't even think it was because I was that tired. I was just so freaking bored. It's not a good book. I don't recommend it. I will not be continuing it. All that to say, I do think for my next, like, physical read, because I was reading that one physically, I may go ahead and pick up Alice Feeney's newest book, which is actually the one that my sister Maria picked up for me whenever we were at one of my favorite bookstores in Greenville. And I'm pulling up the title now. Alice. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Alice Feeney is one of my absolutely all-time favorite thriller authors. What is the name of her newest book? Why is it not coming up? Oh, it's called Beautiful Ugly. And I have a hardback copy of that, so I was trying to finish up some library books before I started that one, but the library books that I picked up are just not working out for me. So I'm going to go ahead and read the Alice Feeney. I'm honestly kind of surprised I've waited this long just because I love her so much. Her book, Rock, Paper, Scissors, guys, the audio, okay, I love reading her books physically too, but the audiobook is literally narrated by Richard Armitage, who I love. I've always loved him. Philip knows I love him, so it's okay for me to say that on here. If you have seen the Hobbit movies, you might know that he played Thorin, but I know him from the BBC miniseries North and South, which is just so good. So I love Richard Armitage, and he is the male narrator on Rock, Paper, Scissors. Awesome. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. So yeah, those are my little obsessions of the week. Like I said, don't really have a topic this week. I feel like a lot has been kind of going on in my personal life. Good things, not bad things. So I might just kind of update and talk a little bit about what I've been doing and what is going on in my life right now. I know that in my last episode when I talked about supplements that I mentioned my fibroids. And I thought I would touch base a little bit on that because I did have an appointment with my doctor just to kind of see where I was in that journey. I did have an ectopic pregnancy earlier this year that was unplanned. And it's something that I'm slowly starting to talk about a little bit more here. It's definitely very private, but I had a very unique grieving period for that, and yeah, it hit me in a way that I wasn't quite expecting. It's like as soon as I thought I was over it, I actually wasn't. Anybody who has lost a pregnancy can definitely relate to just that feeling of emptiness, and I don't want to go into it, but I found out because I needed to get surgery, emergency surgery, whenever that was all happening. I found out about these fibroids. And fibroids are one of those things that's actually extremely common. A lot of women have them, and most of us don't know we have them. I wasn't super surprised because they do run in my family, but I found out that I have 3. They are benign tumors, so they're not harmful in any way. The reason my doctor wanted to see me and do another sonogram was to find out if they were actually causing some other issues with me getting pregnant. Well, I waited 2 months to get that sonogram, and it was a very nerve-wracking time, but went to that appointment earlier, or kind of late last week, actually, and found out that they actually seem to have gotten smaller, which is a huge answer to prayer, and should not cause any issues at all moving forward. So that's huge. That is a huge answer to prayer, and not that anybody asked for that update, but I just felt like talking about it because it was kind of a really big thing that happened in my week. And oh my gosh, so I am laughing because I looked up and one of my cats is playing with a stink bug that they found and managed to kill, and it's just really funny. So sorry. But yeah, that was a huge answer to prayer. And you know what? I think that's actually kind of going to lead me. Yeah, I know once I start talking, like the topics come, that's going to lead me into a little bit of a topic anyway. Because, we can pray for things and God doesn't have to answer yes. And anybody who's been on the Christian journey for any amount of time knows this. If you're starting on that journey and anybody told you that once you become a Christian, like things are easier, they lied to you. When we follow Jesus, a lot of times our trials are actually harder and our life seems more difficult because of those trials. So, prior to my appointment, I had been praying and journaling and had, family and friends around me also praying that I would get good news when I went and I got this sonogram. But I was still cynical enough and fully prepared to walk into that appointment and get the worst news possible. And I think it's really interesting because there's so many verses in the Bible about faith, right? And how if we have, faith as big as a mustard seed, that God will answer our prayers. And, I've had different periods in my life, different times in my life where I was just fully like as faithful as I could possibly be. Like, God said he's going to do this thing. He gave me this promise, so that means he's going to do it. And then sometimes I would end up being disappointed because maybe the thing that I thought God had promised me didn't happen exactly the way that I thought that it would or thought that it should. And, that was a setback for a while. Like, there was a time that I was really, really strong in my prayer life and I, intercessing for myself and other people in different situations at the time. And there was something that I was very sure that God had told me was mine. And I interceded and I prayed so hard over that thing. And lo and behold, it did not turn out at all the way that I thought that it was going to. Like, I was sure it was about a relationship at the time. This was before I met Philip. I was so sure that God was telling me that me and this person were going to be together. And I just could not understand, like, why it didn't work out. Like, why this person chose not to be with me and chose, a completely different path. But what's really interesting, I didn't let that rock my faith completely. Like, it did make me take a step back. Like, I even took a step back from kind of more deep intercessive prayer at that time, just to reevaluate, like, where my priorities were. And what, if I could actually hear God's voice, like what God was saying to me or what he wasn't saying to me. It was a huge learning curve. But it's interesting because looking at that situation now, I see that it was all meant to lead me to the exact place in my exact life where I am right now. Because if that hadn't happened and there was some other friendships and different people in my life at the time that I needed separation from, and if those things had not happened, I would have never met Philip. And it's just really interesting because when you get a word or what you may perceive as a promise from God, it's good to have faith and it's good to believe that God is going to do that thing because God does exactly what he says. He's God. He does not lie to us. But it's not always what we think it is. And it's not always the way that we think it is. So even if you're praying about something for months or years at a time, and it doesn't seem like it's getting answered or it doesn't seem like it's happening, it doesn't mean that it won't. It may have already happened and you're not seeing it because you're still looking the other way at this other thing that you really, really want. So I think it's just important to evaluate, like we're told to test the spirits, right? To evaluate like what is me and what is God. I heard this excellent sermon yesterday from Pastor Stephen Furtick of Elevation Church. If you go on YouTube and just look up Elevation Church, you can see their live stream, and it is the sermon from yesterday, which was, what was it called? That's not the right, it was called When God Says Let Go. And it correlates, it had me, I was already thinking on this topic, but it correlates really, really well to what I'm saying. It was super, super inspirational, very powerful, just a really good sermon. But the whole idea of letting go, even when we have an ambition or we have a promise from God or we know exactly what it is that we feel like he has said to us, letting go and trusting him, it's like the hardest thing. Isn't it the hardest thing as a Christian? It's like, we know that God is God and we say that we trust God with our lives, but we're still trying to retain some of that control. We're still trying to retain, like, anytime we have feelings of anxiety, do you realize that that's actually you or me trying to control the situation? If we really trusted God and we really had faith in him, we could just give this over to his hands and not worry about it. And it's such a fascinating thing to think about as a believer, because, I've talked about this before. I don't believe that anxiety in and of itself is sin, but I believe it can become sinful when we are so anxious because whatever that thing is that we're anxious about is just out of our control. And we're worrying and worrying and worrying about it. One of the things that I have always said that I need to remind myself of, because I don't always do a great job, is that the time that I spend being anxious, or the time that I spend worrying about something and thinking and getting into a rut and letting my mind, just loop over and over and over again and get into a tailspin, the amount of time that I could be doing that, I could actually be praying. And how hard is it to get in that mode of praying and talking to God when we're in the mode of worrying? I know it is for me. I know when I'm in that loop and my brain is just going on and on about this thing, and, it could be, I'm praying for this thing to happen. Like, it could be, it was for a while, like, I'm praying for these fibroids to shrink because I don't want to get major surgery and have to get them taken out. And sitting there worrying about it is not having faith. You're human. I mean, it's natural to worry a little bit. But when it's keeping you up at night, when you're unable to function during your day, we're Christians. We have a God that is bigger than all these things, and he knows exactly what is good and exactly what is right for us. And at the end of the day, that worrying and that anxiety doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't push us forward in any way. Because what is going to happen, what is meant to happen, will happen exactly the way it is. And it will be good and it'll be right because God makes no mistakes. So there you go. There's my topic for the day. I was definitely not planning on talking about anything specific, but there's a lot of things going on right now in my life, including this new business that I started where I really don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to get this, the goal obviously would be to get an onslaught of customers, right? Like a bunch of people want my cleaning services, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I have no idea, but my not that I have a resolution necessarily for this year, but my biggest goal, my biggest ambition for this year is to just be still and to have a mindset of peace and a mindset of quiet and contentment, which has always been the hardest thing for me. I'm a very ambitious person, a very get up and go person, a person that has a very hard time sitting still. So just being okay with things the way they are and satisfied with where God has me right now is really hard. It is so hard. But I want my answer and my response to God when I don't feel like he is doing something fast enough or giving me the answers that I want to hear is just, okay, you know what's right. You know better than me. You're God. And I really think that's, at the end of the day, that's what faith is. It's not necessarily God told me he's going to do this thing, so I believe he's going to do it, and just telling yourself that over and over again, but just accepting that no matter what it is that he does, no matter what it is that he says, and even if you don't get an answer at all, that it's still right because he is God. And what more is there to life? If we believe that he is omnipresent, we believe that he is infinite, he's all of these majestic, holy, incredible things, then how dare we question anything that he does, guys? How dare we question anything at all? And I'm saying that in the most non-judgmental way possible because I am a victim to that as well. Again, we are human, and I think that God understands that, and he allows a certain amount of that, not sin, obviously, but he knows that we're humans and that we are weak, and no matter how much we love him, no matter how much we follow him, no matter how long we've been following him, we're still going to fall into those traps and those ruts in our minds, in our life, where we're just not trusting him completely and not trusting him the way that we should be. And I think that that's okay, as long as we know and acknowledge that at the end of the day, he's God, we're not, and he's in control. So next time you find yourself in a slump, worrying and worrying and worrying about something that you literally can't do anything about but pray and sit and wait and see what happens, instead of wasting all of that time just in your head worrying, hey, the feeling of anxiety is probably not going to go away right away. But instead of sitting there worrying, turn that into prayer. Turn that into food, food for your heart, food for your mind, food for your soul. Use that as a way to combat the enemy. Don't let him win in your life. Don't sit there and let him put those doubts and those fears into your head, because he's not the boss of you. He's not the boss of you. And you know what? That anxiety, you have way more control over it than you even realize. You have to believe it. You have to believe it first. You have control over that anxiety. And again, that doesn't mean that you're just going to wake up one day and the anxiety is going to be gone, because that's not how that works. Or, whatever it is that you might be dealing with emotionally right now, you're not going to wake up and it's just going to disappear. It's going to be there, and it might be there for weeks. It may be there for months. It may be there for years. But you can look at that thing and you can say to it, get behind me. You don't have control over my life. I will not let you win. I know who I am in Christ. Christ has made me beautiful, perfectly, and wonderfully made in his image. And by allowing myself to continue giving this feeling of fear and anxiety and hopelessness, by giving it power, you're like almost laughing in the face of your maker, because he created you. He created you. And you're giving the enemy power. We don't realize that. By allowing, by saying mean things to ourselves, and I do this too. By saying mean things to ourselves, by putting ourselves down, we're just giving glory to the wrong person. We're not giving glory to God, because, that would be like if you saw a painting by an artist that you really liked, that you really admired, but that artist was constantly putting themselves down. Or maybe it was a painting that you saw and you liked it, but there were some flaws and you couldn't see past those flaws. It's literally by making fun of that painting or putting that painting down, the artist is also being put down, and you're not acknowledging their work. And that's exactly what our relationship with God is like, because he created us in his image. So when we are putting ourselves down or being mean to ourselves, we're actually laughing at him. And we're telling him, you didn't do that great of a job. And, I know you're God and you don't make mistakes, but me? Yeah, I'm a mistake. So I'm trying to get better at that. It's definitely not easy, and it's definitely something that I have to work on every single day. There are some days I look in the mirror and I'm okay with what I see. And then there's other days I look in the mirror and I'm really mean to myself. So I feel like that was a little bit of a ramble, a little bit of a rabbit trail. But I think that is going to be the end of today's episode. We are just around 40 minutes, and I told myself I was going to keep this one short. And, guys, we're just going to have to face it. I can't. I like to talk, and once I get going, it's really, really hard for me to stop. I really hope that the audio is better, like I was saying at the beginning. Please let me know, because it's definitely something. It's not keeping me from putting episodes out, obviously, but it's definitely something that bothers me. And I want to give you the best possible experience that I can when you listen to my podcast. As always, if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, let me know. Do you want me to continue to talk about, Christianity? I'm going to do that anyway. But are those the type of topics that you like? Like if I'm talking specifically about faith and mental health, or would you like to hear more things like, fashion, day-to-day life, even, I'm not much of a cook, but I try here and there, even recipes or recipe ideas, date ideas, travel, things like that. Please let me know. I want to improve on this podcast and grow an audience as much as I can. not for any type of, self-gratification. I really do want to touch others and, build friendships and relationships with people through this platform. So let me know what I can do to make this podcast better. Leave me a message or comments, follow, and if you wanted to follow and subscribe and share this with your friends and family, it would be much appreciated. So I love you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and call this one good, and I will see you next week. Bye.